Hence the hats.
Yep. That's why I'm glad I have 15 hats to keep picking from to cover up my helmet hair from riding in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is the new streamingnetwork.com, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio and TV and podcast #1 internet singles talk network. And this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine.
I think people are going to go, this title, because I think
Yeah.
this is going to feel kind of backwards. Don't you think it'll feel kind of backwards?
Oh, yeah, definitely going to give people some pause for thought, I suspect. Yes.
I hope so. That's part of our job, huh?
Yes.
So today our title is No Matches on the Dating Apps. This is good. This is good news. Yeah. I think most people, if you're going to spend the time and energy and money to be on the dating apps, you want to feel successful. And part of the successful in most people's eyes is that you get in a relationship. And then you feel like a failure if you did all that and you didn't get in a relationship. So we're going to tell you why it's okay.
That's the thing. I think it's so funny because so many people put the investment of their energy, time, and sometimes money as well into the apps. And so there's this fear of like, if they don't find the right one. And my question's always been to them, it's like, what if your soulmate isn't in the app?
Yeah.
Whatever you're looking for,
Yeah, so many people say, oh, it was a disaster and I feel like a failure and all there were scammers and they rejected me and they ghosted me and they don't see anything positive. And so, me and you, we always like, well, was there something good that came out of it? Did you learn anything besides all these negative things? Is there anything positive you could have learned? So that's what we're going to talk about today, the positive reasons that maybe it didn't work out at this moment. It's not like never, and certainly lots of people. I mean, that's how I met my late husband. So of course I use them again. And lots of people do meet through the dating apps. And if you're not, then what could be a good reason? What could be something good that would come out of not needing somebody on the dating apps?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I just had what I believe to be a scammer who tried to meet on one of the dating apps. It's just the way that the pictures were and then the way they interacted. It's like my sixth sense went off big time. And so I dropped a question in to see what happened. Nothing happened for 2 days. So I went, okay, that's it. They're not the real. So I just report them, get rid of them. And it's almost like success. So even though it wasn't getting a date, I was happy to be complete.
See, I love that because if we really do listen to our intuition and our instincts, the majority of the time we will know. We'll just know this isn't the right person or this is the right person. I mean, we really do know that sixth sense that we have, that if we're not, oh, they're so cute, or oh, I'm so desperate and lonely, that all gets in the way and it's like static, that you're not really fine-tuned on the radio station. You'll know. And it's good to check, as Barry did, to just see, and I'm having this inkling that they're not a real person. They're certainly not a real person that wants to date. So it's not like they're a bot, it's not like they're an AI fake person, but they're not somebody that's looking for a relationship. And if you're looking for a relationship, you don't want somebody like that. So how do you listen to your instincts and then check it out? So what was the question you asked Mr. Selby?
Well, the thing was that the questions that she asked, or I should say the profile asked, were so simplistic. And so I was like, hey, how you doing today? And I said, and somebody else, and so I said, I was busy or something like that, and just to see if they're going to keep provoking and pushing. And the question, I mean, it's so simple. I didn't ask it. I didn't think about it really. I just simply said, "What makes you tick?" That's all I asked, because it's a question that doesn't have an easy answer, ideally. Because the other thing is, say, "How you doing?" Fine. What's the weather like? It's okay. Those questions are so easy. But asking a question that requires thought tends to be what I find is a way to get a response that can give them away, or no response at all. Yeah. So that's what I mean, I didn't do it as a plan to see is this as a bot or not. But I thought, let me see if this question moves the conversation further along, which you didn't. No. So that was like, okay, clear enough, because they've been fully responsive up to that point, and when they didn't respond to that one, it was kind of like, yeah, I get a feeling this is not going to be a good one.
And as you have stated loud and clearly, as I have as well, we want to be with ultimately somebody who has some depth, who could really go, wow, what a great question. Haven't really thought about that, or I have thought about it. And here's an answer. I'm going to think about it and give an answer, because what an intriguing person that would ask this question, that they seem interested in me. They seem interested in knowing something besides how did I sleep? That's what the scammers always, how was your sleep? I'm like, why do you even care? Do you care that I'm not going to be in a good mood? Maybe. I mean, that would be interesting if that was the reason, but that's never the reason.
No.
And so it gives you a chance to say, are they on the same level of, I want somebody who asks me interested in me questions that I would now ask them interested in them questions.
Absolutely.
So what makes you tick is a perfect question to ask, because a scammer is going to say, well, that's just too deep for me. I'm not going there. It's fine telling me how their day is and how they slept.
Yeah. No, that's the thing that's interesting is I'll say this way, that there is sometimes a part of me, this is my experience, when I see somebody who I think is like, checks all the boxes, you know, their bio looks interesting, they're a good looking person, and like, oh, excitement. But until there's a communication, and until there's something more than just the information on the page, it's not worth getting my hopes up, sort of thing. Don't put all my eggs in one basket idea is to be open. And there have been a couple that passed through that were definitely, oh, that's a good one. But I have no idea if it's real or not, because sometimes, you know, too good to be true is too good to be true. So it definitely is, for me, as a reminder, and yes, being an example of the work and doing the work at the same time, that it's being very involved but not too attached. To be interested, not being hooked in, that I have to have some result. And I'm not looking for something casual. So, I mean, there are plenty of women on the app. So it's like, yeah, if I'm something casual, great, but I know what I'm looking for. So the big part, and we'll talk about this in the show, is about, you know, do you know what you're really looking for? Because if you don't have that in alignment, then anyone is fine. You know?
So part of what we're talking about right now is, what are you learning as you're exploring the questions to ask and the things to watch out for? And often you're not matching because you're not ready yet. And part of getting ready is practicing. And part of practicing is trying out new things, having different conversations with people, see if they'll engage in a conversation with you, because it's how everybody learns how to do everything new that we're not good at right away. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to not know the first time, and you're like, oh, now I learned that, so now I'm going to try it different now. And then what did I learn from that I'm now going to do these two things differently? That if you go with that attitude, I'm going to keep getting better, it's going to get more productive, I'm going to start feeling more successful, then you'll always be learning stuff. And it's a very positive. And the thing that I've learned from coaching people that are in sales, they're so much easier because they go, oh, I just know from my profession that a no just brings me closer to a yes. It's so much easier when I get them to switch that in their head, that they already have that tool. They just hadn't thought of dating that way. They're like, well, of course, that makes so much sense.
It's amazing how easy that is when they get it.
So it's really, they have a hook to hang it on for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So also looking at your profile, if what you mean is by not getting a match that people write, but they're not your kind of people. Like, why do the wrong kind of people keep writing to me? That's what I found, that when I changed what I said in my profile, men more that I was looking for started showing up, because I was more clear about what I was asking for. I was more clear about saying, this is who I am and this is what I'm looking for. Because sadly, women think generally that men don't read the profiles. They only look at the pictures. I find most men read the profile, that are really good guys and really looking for a relationship. of course they're going to start out with the pictures. And I have not met I said, so are you telling me you don't look at the pictures first? Come on. And they all go, well, yeah. I go, so then stop giving a hard time for the men that look at the pictures.
Right.
And then how much of the profile do you read? I want you to read the whole profile too, because if you're going to make comments back, you need to comment about what's in their profile. And you need to see, do you really truly have things in common? Because I've also found good guys that are looking for a relationship pay great attention to if they match us. They pay more attention to if they match us than if we match them. And you can certainly speak from a guy's point of view. Do you find that from your side of the aisle, sir?
Which part? The part about looking at the pictures, or?
Well, I guess we could just have a given for that. But
yeah.
My husband told me that. He said that he first went, oh yeah, I'm those things that she says she wants, and oh, she's those things I'm looking for. And he said he did it in that very specific order. So do you validate that or tell me, no, there's men that look at it the other way first?
Well, I certainly can't speak for all men. I mean, personally, when I look at profiles, I definitely want to see what they've written to see if it's something I'm interested in, because yes, I don't just want to have somebody who looks good. I want to be with somebody who's also got some in a process, in a journey, because, quite a lot of my postings, still doing it now, is, if you're a right winger or a Trumpster or that sort of thing, don't reach out. So I understand that. And so those things are very clear demarcations, but also, some of them put down, if you're not a passionate follower of Jesus, I don't want to talk to you. It's like, okay, that's a clear definition. So sometimes people's specificity helps me go yay or nay pretty quickly. But also, when they put something in there that's not the old canned response, like long walks on the beach, I'm sorry, but unless you live in Malibu, I'm not really interested in it, because everyone says that sort of thing. So those things become wearing on it. So it's more information. Yes, there's obviously the physical statistics, like how far away do they live, how old are they, how tall are they? Those things obviously come into play, because there are certain things that fit for me personally. I prefer, not right, wrong, just preference. But in terms of what they write about themselves, and also what the pictures show them doing, because some people's pictures are like 5-6 pictures, all the same, just slight variations of position on the camera. And like, you got 5 different pictures to put in there. How about a picture of like where you go play? Picture, people put pictures, women put pictures of them with their pets, which is like, that's okay. But if pictures of only their pets, that doesn't really help me much. Because it could be somebody else's dog or somebody else's cat, So a lot of the description, explanation, what people are doing in their profiles, and I'm sure men are doing the same thing, is what stories do your pictures tell? And what do you write in your bio beyond the bare minimum demographic information that everybody's going to provide?
Really good point. So really being clear in your profile will bring you people, period. If you're saying nobody writes, or if you're saying only the wrong people write, it really is important to look at what you're writing, because often what you're writing is why they're showing up.
Right.
And if you don't see it, if you're like, wow, I really don't understand why this is happening, that's when you ask us, because we can look at it objectively and say, oh, so I think I told you that I have a client that's very happy in her relationship, long time now. And after her husband died, she went looking for a new hobby because she wanted something completely different than she'd ever done with him. And she took up glass blowing. So she'd had that in her profile, which garnered some off-color
response.
Yes. Yeah. So we worded it a little differently because it just got to be silly.
Right.
And even people who didn't have any negative goals with her would comment about it because it was such an unusual thing to put in a profile.
Yeah.
So when we revamped it a little, it was much more clear that it's a hobby and she creates, items out of blown glass, and we just changed the order of the words. But it was pretty funny because if you don't say who you are and what you're doing and what you're looking for, and then you don't understand because it's how you talk already, and go, oh, how could that be misunderstood? It's not really the other person's fault if they misunderstood, if there might be another way to say it more clearly. But we got a laugh out of it for sure.
Oh yeah, no, that cracked me up. There's so many I'll say this. There are so many things we need sometimes to have someone else, almost like we need to have an editor on our profile because we don't know something we say. And it can be very funny at times, but also can be really the thing that we're saying earlier, that is not getting any matches because you don't realize what you've written. It excludes anybody you really are looking for because the way you wrote something. So it's definitely good to have somebody else check what you said.
I know when I'm reading profiles with my clients, I get to see other women profiles when I'm working with my men, and then other men's profiles besides the ones I'm looking at when I'm looking personally. And I just want to go, let me write your profile.
It's funny. I was thinking about it earlier. I was thinking maybe I should just like the person who's not a match for me at all, just so I can give them feedback on the pictures they posted. It's like, you want to do a picture, you're a bit closer to the camera, or not a bathroom selfie, or that sort of thing. So
yes. And you made a point about saying, and I'm going to emphasize it, that if you have things in your life that you enjoy doing, hobbies or your work or activities, have pictures of it, talk about it in your profile. But as we just mentioned, everybody's going to look at the pictures first. I don't care whether you're a man or a woman or whatever you call it yourself. Most people are going to look at the pictures first. We just are. We're visual creatures. So have pictures of, like, everybody knows I have pictures of me on a horse and wherever I am, because it's a big part of my life. I want somebody to know. They don't have to necessarily participate. They need to know it's part of my life. Mm-hmm. And if you golf, or you're now one of the rage of pickleball people, or you do, have pets. I have a couple clients that show their dogs, and that's a really interesting part of their life. I mean, they do a lot. I mean, they have to go in RVs and go to places, and it's a thing. Yep. So it's important to say that a person has to at least be tolerant of that, or maybe they're into that too. So I really recommend not including children, like grandchildren. You can certainly talk about that you have children and grandchildren and you like spending time with them, and do they too, but not putting other people's pictures in.
Right.
And don't X people out, and don't fuzzy their face. I just think that's annoying. Pick pictures that you don't have other people in already.
Well, the thing about that is this for me is an indication of being lazy. Because if you don't have the energy to get pictures of yourself again, new ones, especially if they're up to date, that'd be great.
Yeah.
When you post pictures, whether it's you and two other people, three other people, yes, if it's your kids, I understand you blur their faces out for respect out of privacy. But when half the pictures you're in group shots and you're in that picture, or actually almost worse than that, if you're in a group picture and you don't blur the pictures out, so you're like, which one are you in that picture? That's happened a few times too. And I've seen it on a couple of profiles, just to be really blatant about it.
Oh.
One profile I looked at where the woman was in the picture, I had to figure out which was the common denominator of the 5 pictures she posted, because in every picture she was with other people. And I was like, for a second, I couldn't say which one was which. Oh, and this is the other one. This maybe sound a bit egotistical, but if you're in picture of other people, make sure you're the cutest one in it. I'm sorry, but I've had that a couple of times where I looked at the picture of somebody with a friend and was like, your friend's cuter than you. That's not good.
No, and
I'm sorry.
I love that you're saying that, because I've seen that as well with men. And we're just going to say we're all human beings. So why set yourself up that you're going to go, I'd like to meet your friend. They're more my type. They're more my type of looking at them, at least. So don't do that to yourself. No. Be the cutest one in the picture.
It sounds so simple, but it's like, here's the thing. That's why it's better to have only you in the pictures. That way there's nothing to compare you against.
Yeah.
You stand alone in your own profile. That's a better way of presenting yourself.
Because you're presenting yourself. You're advertising. It's such a terrible word, I think, for people to think that, but that's really what you're doing. That's what you're thinking the other person's doing. I mean, at least put yourself out there in the best light possible, because let's not make everybody work so hard to figure out which one you are and get distracted by other people. That's really, I mean, you say they're cuter. You're like, oh, I'm kind of distracted. I keep looking at this friend.
It's true.
I found men don't do it as often, and I've certainly had it happen where I had to keep scrolling to see who's the same person. And stop making this so hard.
Yeah, I think
really like this to not be so hard.
I think maybe men tend to take more pictures of themselves on their own than women do, whether in groups. I don't know. I've never done the research on that, but it sounds like possible. Definitely.
So first, look at you. Why maybe you're getting no matches or the wrong matches, and what could you be doing differently in your profile, the writing, the words, the pictures, and Maybe you need to be in a different pool of dating app. There's so many out there. Try another one. Try a different way of putting it out there. Search farther geographically. That's how my husband found me. He started closer to his house, and when he expanded, I showed up on his profile. Otherwise, we wouldn't have met. It's not like we're that far away, but he had started. Most people start within like 20 minutes, and I was more like 45. So the other thing is, this just might not be the right thing for you. Dating apps are not for everybody. They just aren't. So if you're not getting matches, find other ways to meet people, to meet other single people. This is, we're going to go back to join activities, find something you already like doing or something that you'd like to learn how to do, and go do it. If you really want to start making friends and ultimately find a relationship, this might be the best way to do it, is to just go start joining activities.
It's very clear. The thought come back to me is that if you're not getting matches on the apps, that's feedback. And as you said already, and I'm just going to underscore that, what you said is so clear. It's like, if you're not getting what you want in response to the dating apps, then maybe change your data, change your presentation, change your information, your pictures, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're not getting matches with the dating apps, period, that's feedback as well. And the thing I always learned is if you're doing something and you're not getting, and your feedback you're getting is nothing, try something different. Because clearly, if you're not getting some feedback in what you're doing, nothing's happening. So rather than keep just doing the same thing again and again, hoping for a different result, definition of insanity, shifting to something else, like you're saying, going to physical meetups, as we've talked about in other talks, go find things to do that involve other people, social interactions, some sort of connecting environment that can be entertaining, can be fun, can be totally unrelated to dating. You never know who you're going to meet there. Yeah. And I do myself. I mean, I've got from events I go to regularly that I don't plan on meeting somebody there, but in conversation comes up about things from work and personal life and everything else, and you never know who you might know. So it's being willing to meet somebody and connect. And frankly, this is what we used to do before dating apps. It's not like this is new.
Yeah. And I think it can lower some of the expectation and the pressure, because people go, well, why else would I be on an app? Well, partly just to learn how to write about yourself, to learn how to ask questions the way that Barry cited, that there's a new way to ask questions to see if they're your kind of person while you're writing on the app. So that when you're out in public and you're going to an activity, like you've joined Meetup or you've joined something from your community center, then you have an even bigger toolbox full of ways to communicate with people and be inquisitive and also tell them about yourself. So if you've used this experience of being on a dating app to learn and gain experience, even if you haven't met somebody that you want to be with forever, that can feel like a success, and you'll stop feeling so discouraged. And that's why we're saying that's a good reason to have, oh, well, I didn't match. And what did I learn? What am I now going to do differently?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that this exploration, this adventure that you're on, being single, is a chance to try different things and different experiences. Because the great thing about this time being single is you don't have to worry about the commitment of being with somebody. In a sense, you get to explore and play. So why not have fun with the journey, have fun with the experience, and to really try new things. Maybe you'll take up new hobbies you haven't done before, like saying with your client who started doing glass blowing. I mean, that's genius because it's so new for yourself. And the funny thing is, this is another part, by the way, if you go somewhere where you don't know how to do something, you get to ask for help. And you never know who's going to help you. So you go in there as a new beginner. First of all, you get to have some fun. Secondly, you get to learn a new skill. And thirdly, you might meet somebody who can really help you. And then when you become an expert, you become help somebody else. So just the joy of that giving and connecting and having value in the friendships you build is part of this journey of life anyway. And it may not directly get you what you want, but the whole point about this conversation is that sometimes you got to take detours along the way to get where you want to go.
Yeah. So important. And when I think back about her, she said that she really started looking at her glass blowing experience as kind of how dating had felt, that there were lots of times it doesn't work out. You think you have this going and poof, it breaks or it droops, or I mean, I've watched, I've never done, but I've watched, and it is such a very honed skill. And then I never thought about it, but of course, there's times you get burnt. You really do get burnt. And it's like, oh, that can happen when you're trying to date too. And how do you recover from that? I
Right.
went, oh, that's so insightful. I was really loving that. She wrote a whole thing about it. I was so impressed because if you keep going back, because this is really an important goal, and learning how to do, and what she does now is pretty spectacular.
Right.
If you really want to get to the other side, then you're going to keep going, even if you get burnt and even if things fall apart right as you think you've got it going. If you can use that as the lesson in dating, because it's so important to learn and to gain the possibility of finding love again, then you'll just keep going no matter what. And I loved the juxtaposition of dating and glass blowing. I was just so impressed. She's a really good writer too, more than me.
That helps, yeah. But another piece of that, just another little PS to that, is when you start doing something where you get good at something and you get creative and you have fun with it, you start shining more brightly, so you get more noticeable. Yeah. So having something in your life that fills you up, and it doesn't mean whilst you're doing it, but like if you do certain things in your life that really, fill up your battery, make you feel full, and you become more light, more glowing, everywhere you go, people will notice you. So you become more attractive. So it's worthwhile just to have your life, because unfortunately, some people who are using the dating apps are sitting at home hoping that they're going to find somebody, and they're not going to go outside the front door. So their light is very dim. So by doing things that do, in fact, charge up your light, that light you up inside, so you feel full of life and joy. Because the ultimate thing is when you recognize you don't need anybody, you become more attracted to somebody who you might want to be with.
And as we have said repeatedly, both men and women tell us all the time that one of the sexiest things about the opposite sex is when they have self-confidence. So when you start learning how to get good at something, better at something you already knew, or learn how to do something, oh my gosh, you've never done before, you're just going to have a little extra bounce in your step and a little extra sparkle in your eyes. How could you not, when you're starting to feel more confident about yourself doing something? And then when you get asked that inevitable question about, tell me about yourself, you have this super duper thing that you could feel really passionate about and tell the other person. And how attractive is that? I mean, you know me, I could talk about horses I had lunch. I think I mentioned I had lunch with my girlfriends, and they got to hear about horse poop for like 15 minutes because you could tell a whole bunch about the health of a horse. And they were like, it really was interesting. And it was before lunch came, thank goodness. But I am so passionate about this, and I didn't know it in the very beginning. And now I've learned a lot about horse poop. And people are enthralled when you're enthralled.
Yes. Even if it's horse poop.
Even if it's horse poop. I know. I said, well, at least it doesn't smell bad. It smells like grass.
Right. No, but who knew that in this conversation, in this episode, we're talking about whose horse poop is part of the conversation?
I know. Christina work in horse poop and or sex, or maybe both, right? Like calling card.
Yeah. I love it.
So you can hear that when you have something that you find and you're doing, it's catchy to the other people there. And if you can translate that, if we go back to the apps and how could you have more success, if you could talk about and show pictures of this thing that you are just wild for, that gets you up every day, that you think about, this is a great thing, the right people are going to go, wow, I want to meet them. I want to get to know them. I want to learn more about them. I want to talk about the thing that I'm passionate about, even if it's completely different. And we could have this fun, energized conversation together, because that's what people want to say is, but I want somebody who's interesting and interested in me. Something I heard the other day, they were talking about how people are worried that if you've been in a long-term relationship, does sex get boring? And the panel was talking about how it takes work. And so I put in the chat, because it was a Zoom thing, I said, I've had a number of people say they're afraid they're going to worry, they're going to run out of things to talk about. And I said, I think it takes the same skill set to stay on top of it and keep adding to your life so that you keep bringing something to the relationship and encouraging them. So do this now. Add things to your life on a regular basis and share it with other people and see, are they doing the same thing? Because that's the kind of person, if you're like that, you would want somebody like that. Because I think the kind of opposite is you might be too interesting, that this isn't the right place for you. People are like, oh my God, I could never keep up with them.
I have come across that before myself, so I do know that experience. So I'm chuckling about that one. And that is so key, is that it's so, we talked about this in the show before, and I know this, the wording about, is find someone to settle down with. It's like, I had no plans to settle down with anybody. And so it is clear. And I was interviewed on, when was it? I had a couple of interviews earlier this week, and one of them asked me about this, like, being single is okay. I said, yeah, absolutely, being single is okay, because I enjoy my life and I love what I do. And I want to find somebody who's one who walks the path with me. I don't want to find someone to take me off that path, because that's not what relationship's about for me. For some people it is, but for some people, they're busy doing something until they find the right person, then they'll switch gears to that person. It's like, don't do that. Do what you love, find what you love doing, then you'll make space for somebody to come join you, do that with you. And of course, they have something going on for themselves that you want to join them in doing as well. That to me is what the ideal impact of a healthy relationship would be, because then you're always doing something new. And that's the great thing is you're learning from each other, which keeps the relationship fresh all the time as well.
And I'm going to talk about the two people I know, that one's been married for 49 years and the other's been married for 60 years, and they can't wait to talk to each other at the end of the day. They just can't wait. They have stuff to share that they did during their day. And the ones that are 60 years are both 81, and they're still very busy. They're still doing things separately and things together. And they always have this great talk at the end of the day. And the ones that are married 49 years, same thing. Separate things, together things, talk at the end of the day. They can't wait to share. Like, how cool is that? So if you think that sounds fun, and you're not going to worry about running out things to talk about, this is the groundwork you lay about getting things going in your life.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to help you readjust your profile and maybe be attracting and more attractive, and you're going to attract people that are more happening in their life. And if you're not an active person, then you need to say, I want somebody that loves to watch movies. I want somebody that wants to stay home and cook meals and watch movies with me. And we could talk about the movie after. That clearly saying who you are is what attracts the right people to you, because people sometimes are so vague. I want somebody who's funny. I want somebody who has integrity. Well, that's not very clear. I wouldn't know if I fit that. I am very happy to laugh a lot, and I'm pretty easy to make laugh, but I have some kind of specific things that make me laugh more. So it would be good if I knew that you like those things. What is the kind of humor that you like? Because there's kind of humor I don't like at all. Right. So to be really specific about, this is who I am and this is what I'm looking for. And that will get you more of a chance of people responding, because you can't be too vague and too wide and too broad. They go, well, I'll eliminate people. I said, but how many do you want? Do you want more than one? I mean, really, there might be people that want more than one, but I only want one. I want somebody who only wants one. So I'm really specific about, this is who I am and this is what I'm looking for. Are you that person? And boy, when they are, they know. They say, oh, look at all the stuff we have in common.
Yeah. Well, like, you said before about how camping isn't one of your things unless it's something glamorous. And so for me, it's like the same idea. I'm not someone who likes to go roughing it up in the forest, but also like little things like, I don't particularly enjoy horror movies. It's the thing that doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. But science fiction stuff and things that are set fantasy and dramatic and, can be swords and sorcery, absolutely love that stuff. Yeah. So finding somebody who's got the same common interest, because if they love horror and I don't, they can go with their friends, but I'm not going to go. That's fine. Yeah. So it's finding the things you want to do together, but also the things that you accept about each other that you do separately.
Yes, and it's okay. And it's okay that you do things. Yeah, see, I don't like horror either. I like suspenseful very much. I like on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
I don't do stuff that's scary. I don't do scary, but I do suspenseful really well. That holds my attention, and I'm always trying to figure it out, and I'm pleased when I don't. But I don't do horror either. I just can't. And so I tell my friends, Don't even tell me about it. Go have a great time. I'll go in the other theater. We'll have dinner after.
Exactly. So much easier.
And it's good that you are clear about this. And then you say, well, I haven't liked, not horror, but something. Oh, I'm willing to try. I'll go try that with you. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it. Is it okay if I don't? You have enough people to do it with. I mean, that's a great conversation to have.
Yeah.
And so if you have that, put that in your profile too. You know, I'm open to exploring. I don't like blah, blah, and I do like blah, blah, and I'm open to exploring blah, blah.
There you go. Simple and clear.
I think so.
So just want to bring it back for a second, because, you know, we talked to the title about no match in the dating app. This is good, meaning that there's two things we're talking about here. One is that maybe a dating app presentation needs refinement and work, and we're giving you quite a few examples, both in the pictures and in what you write about and what you're looking for and how you look at other people's profiles, that give you a better, maybe a shift in perspective on how you do the dating apps. The second piece is about what you do outside the dating apps. And that's the thing, is that for a lot of people, the dating apps become the be all and end all, which is the trap. So when we say about no match in the dating apps, some people are going to go, oh no, that's so bad. And that's when we're saying this is good, because a lot of what you may want to do is basically, to put it simply, you need to have a life. You know, do something, have a life that basically someone else would want to come share with you. Because the other part also is, some people seem to do, you know, a 9-to-5 job and on the dating apps, and they have no social life, no personal life outside of that. They're almost waiting for someone to show up to take them away from their mundanity. That word, into having a life with them. And it's frankly, that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody else. And for me personally, yes, I'll definitely want to invite someone to come play with me, but hopefully they bring all their playthings with them, so to speak. So it's important to keep that in mind.
And also, I know people that are very active doing things they will never meet a single person of the other opposite sex. You know, they're doing things with the same sex. They're doing things solitary. They're really busy and they're really active. I mean, my friend Donna teases me. You know, guys go by us sometimes on their own horse, but most of them have on a wedding ring. And I don't ride with her to meet a guy. I mean, it'd be nice because I know they like horses, but I do that for my soul.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love hanging out with my friend. And then I add other things that I do that I know they'll be single men my age doing whatever it is I'm doing. So like having a balanced diet, you know, go ahead and do things that are solitary and with girlfriends. And then also, so it was interesting. I was talking to somebody last night, a client, and they were saying, you know, there's all these married people he goes on these very interesting vacations. He's kind of a new client, and there's all married people. And I said, so have you looked at singles stuff? You know, there's very specific travel things that are for singles, because I have a woman friend that's single, and his is bicycling. He bicycles all over the world. And she's gone on lots of single bicycle things. And he's like, well, that's a good suggestion. I go, well, that's what we're here for. Right? This is what you're paying me for, right?
Right.
So to refine, you know, if you are, and then single in your age group, I mean, the Google search can be very pointed and very, I mean, you might have to click on a few things and go down a couple rabbit holes.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, if the travel agents that you're using are not doing this, I think you should suggest, because the population of single people, because we're a bunch of baby boomers, and sadly men die before the women. So you're in the catbird seat as a guy, that there's lots of single women out there, and they often go together because we like doing stuff in pairs. But now you have 2 women on bicycles in your age group, obviously fit enough to go do this bicycling in Thailand, I think is the latest place he's going to go. So I said, single, look for single. And he went, oh, that's good. Because he's told me all the great conversations he had with married people, and you never know, they might know single person.
Right.
And if you're really ready, then you need to be in your target market. So think about that, where you're putting yourself.
Yeah. And the other part I want to add to that, which kind of a PS, is that if you've always wanted to go cycling with somebody, don't wait till they show up. Learn ahead of time. It's like, so if there's hobbies or things you want to do with horse riding or cycling or going on excursions or going hiking, whatever it is, that you think you're going to wait when your person shows up, you do it with them. First of all, you don't want to be a novice when they show up.
Yeah.
So first of all, you want to find out if you enjoy doing it, then go do it more often, because the thing is you might actually meet them where you're already doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's much, much easier.
And so one of the things you were saying about asking for help, if you're I am not interested in playing golf. I'd much rather drive the cart. I've said that before, and I'll keep saying it because people get impatient because I hit very straight, but not very far. So it really takes me a long time to get to the hole. I keep going. I don't go off to this. I just but it's forever. And the people I'm playing with get impatient. The people behind us get impatient. I said, then let me just bring snacks and drive the cart. I'm much more happy with that, and you'll be happy too. If it's something you want to learn how to play golf, then go to a driving range and ask for help. If you're a woman and you ask a guy for help, he's going to jump on it. He would be so happy to teach you how to hold your club. Besides, he gets to stand behind you to help you. Oh my God, how cool is that? I mean, it's really a very kind of fun place to learn. And you can go join foursomes. Oftentimes they only have 2 or 3 people, and they're happy to have another, especially, you're cute and a girl. Then you ask, what do you think? How do I hit this better? And it's not like you're being helpless. It's just you don't know more. So this is another thing that hopefully, if the apps are not working for you, it's going to inspire you to go out and find more places and get you off your couch from searching on the computer, or at least add it to the searching on the computer, to all these suggestions of going out and doing other things that will help put you in front of other single people of the same sex, that you can say, what other things are they doing? And you could go join that, or the opposite sex. And then you get to chat with each other in this organic way, because that's the word everybody's using now. They would rather not meet on the apps. Well, then get off your couch and go do something fun.
That is the key. Yeah, this is the thing where the dating apps have become such a destination for people, rather than just simply an added value place to go play. Yeah. And to recognize that dating apps are part of the picture, not the whole picture, is probably one of the most freeing things some people may need to hear. And this, it is really interesting too, because sometimes I go through the dating apps, because I have a couple that I'm on very regularly, and I want to get through I want to go through all the likes, the one that are offered to me each time, as quick as I can to get rid of them, sort of thing. There's not even a focus to get somebody. It's almost like, okay, done. Now I can move on to my life and go do things out in the world. And I think if everybody had that attitude, it might make dating in the physical world so much more fun and more joyful, because people are out there intentionally going out to meet people. Now, the caveat of that is, something I've experienced myself and been burnt by, is you don't lead with that, because it can come across as very hungry and desperate. But to come across from just basically enjoying life and having a great time and get to know somebody before you say, are you single? Because that's the thing about saying people you like the dating apps, because the dating apps have one thing that's very critical. Well, ideally, is everybody on the dating apps is single and looking to be in a relationship, because there are people on some of the dating apps who are not single, but that's another story. So I understand that the temptation, or the invitation of the dating apps, because it makes it a much more aligned place to go play, because those people who you're looking for actually are single and looking, so you're each on the same page. It is more challenging out in the real world, so to speak, the offline world, to meet somebody who is single and looking ahead of time. You don't know. So yes, it is going to be a little bit of a nuanced experience to be out exploring and expressing and meeting people, and to not know until you find out more information if they're in fact somebody you'd be interested in talking to on a dating level.
So I have a line that I use that I've been teaching.
Please.
So for ladies, you have to tell me if you could do this as a guy. I've not suggested it to any of the men, but as a lady, if you're talking to a guy and he seems interesting and he doesn't have a ring on, if he says something that you're like, wow, that's really a great thing to say, or an interesting thing to say, or interesting thing he does, to say, wow, what a lucky person is that you get to go home to. Mm-hmm. And they'll tell you if there is or not. They'll say, yeah, thanks. Yeah. And I've had them say, oh, I've been happily married for 20 years and she's really appreciative, or she's not very appreciative. And then I've had enough men say, no, there's nobody. And now you know. Because I don't fault people for not wearing wedding rings. I've known enough people that their job precludes. I mean, there's people in the medical field, people in construction, horse, shoers. Oh my God. I mean, you're going to get caught on that metal. You could lose a finger or a hand. I mean, it's really not good. So they wear them. They tell me they wear them for special occasions, but they don't wear them generally in the world. So they say, I'm not doing it to be untrue. I'm doing it because it's my job. So I think this is a nice, indirect, but pretty direct way to get an answer. Oh, there she is. She has to finally show up at the end to find out if they're involved with somebody. So would you ever say that to a woman?
It's a question. I mean, the challenge is there's certain levels of how do you use this? You got to be careful. For men, you got to be more careful talking to women because women generally are more can be more defensive. But to say something to a woman whereby she says something that's so beautiful, so wonderful, what she does, is that say something like, I hope your partner really appreciates what you're doing. Yeah, it's doable. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed thing that's going to win every time. So just to be clear from my side of things, but to say something like that is good. Is a good way of, because most women are going to go, "Oh, you're fishing, are you?" Because women are smarter than men on that level. But it's like it's also like, well, I'm going to find out. Yeah. So it's kind of like no harm, no foul, because you can do it without any you got to know the answer. It's more just to just nudge, and if they go, I'm not going to tell you, okay, but at least you've asked.
Yeah, but we do get in our feelings, and I was just thinking it is harder for men. It just is.
Yeah,
I'm sympathetic about that. So, if any of you're welcome. I was really curious to ask you as a guy what you thought about that. So, thank you for your very helpful answer, because
you're welcome.
So resonate with everything you said. So, if you resonated with anything we've said about you're frustrated with the apps, or you'd like to do something better on the apps, or you'd like more suggestions to get off the apps and meet somebody, we're here. You can just talk with either one of us. So the way to get a hold of me best way is to go to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. Click on what's holding you back from love, and there's 10 easy questions, and then it'll give you access to my online calendar, and then you can schedule a complimentary conversation with me at your convenience. You can also then join my email list, and you'll get repeats of this podcast and news about things that I'm working on. And you can also go to the bottom of the page and click on all my social media, little icons of Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest and YouTube. You can also send me a personal email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com. And Barry, please tell people how to reach you.
I would love to. Thank you for inviting me to. If you want to find out how to get in touch with me, first go to my website, which is barryselby.com. That is where you can definitely get in touch with me. At the top of the screen on the homepage, you can click on Take Your Next Step, or you can sign up for a discovery session with me with a questionnaire you fill out, as well as a form, as well as a calendar link, so you can get my calendar and sign up for a screen. There's a link to my email list where you can just jump in and become a member of my audience. So you get emails every week, which generally shares the replay of this show, plus other things I'm getting up to. And I've had some recent interviews and conversations with other people. I was on a 7-day series that I was one of the top speakers on. So I'll be sharing that out soon when I get the final edited version of that available. So it's worth joining my email list to get those sort of things. Also, my quiz is up and running. If you want to find out about your relationship readiness, if you are in the single place and not sure what you want to do, where you're going, and if maybe there's some things that are in the way for you to go forward on, I recommend going and take my relationship readiness assessment, which is a quiz I have. So you go to barryselby.com/quiz. Thank you for that. That'll get you started and give you some self-reflection opportunities. I'll put it that way. You can send me an email at barryselby.com, and social media wise on all the platforms except for Instagram and Threads, it's Barry Selby. So YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, now X, Pinterest are all Barry Selby, and on Instagram and Threads, it's the real Barry Selby. So you find me in all those places.
And you'll always find us here every week on Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern. And you can find us on Roku and Apple TV, and then to watch. And then if you want to take us with you and listen while you're out working out or shopping, you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Absolutely. So check us out, listen to us, find out what you need, and definitely let us know how you feel.
Yeah. let us know. Ask us questions, send us comments. And if you have something you'd like us to cover next time, please send us that subject. And when you go to our podcast, please like and share with people that you think might be having some dating and relationship challenges.
Yeah. And we'll be back next week with more content.
Yes, we will. Bye for now.
See you then.